Hello, I'm Alex.
I'm James.
And I'm Dan.
And welcome to the third annual, highly prestigious Ragamuffin Awards.
Woo! We're here, let's go!
Yippee! We are here to take a summary of the year that has been. We have 9 categories
Let's
this
go.
year. So let's just dive right in.
Starting off strong. Album of the year.
There's no further ado here.
Brilliant.
That's brilliant.
That's brilliant.
Album of the year.
Who wants to go first? Album of the year.
Oh, we're starting off with a biggie. Bloody hell.
I'll take it. You're looking at me, Alex.
Oh, I don't mind. I'll go first.
All right, go on then. You go.
Okay, album of the year. This was probably the one that I tracked throughout the year the best. The rest of them was sort of a mad scramble this morning. I have a few honourable mentions that I very much enjoyed. They were Paramore, This Is Why. Maybe their best album since Riot.
Great album.
Jesus Peace, Gates of Horn. Quite possibly one of the greatest steps from debut to sophomore, at least in hardcore, but potentially in all alternative music in the last 10 years.
Great album.
And Hot Mulligan, Why Would I Watch? Brilliant, fun. Hot Mulligan, arguably at their best.
Dan?
Great album.
But my number 3 spot goes to Graphic Nature, A Mind Waiting to Die.
Solid.
Great album.
Just, I mean,
I'm trying to set up a merch drop.
it would almost be a disservice to even mention the fact that this is a debut and to kind of give it that sort of, it's a debut but it's hanging with the best. It is hanging with the best. It's just flawless, brilliantly heavy, some of the most original, exciting, fun riffs mixed in with the perfect amount of drum and bass, garage sort of electronic elements. Some of the best lyrics and the most passionately delivered lyrics in heavy music, and just quite possibly the perfect introduction to a band. So that's my number 2 spot. That was my number 3 spot. My number 2 spot is Trophy Eyes, Suicide and Sunshine. It is, in my opinion, their defining work to date, which I think is notable for a band that they've said they'd planned for this to be their last album. They kind of threw everything that they had at it, and not only has it been just one of the best albums that they've ever made, well, the best album that they've made, I think it's also reinvigorated and resparked their love for being in that band. And I think not only does it have some absolute bangers, but as a whole album, it's pretty much flawless to me. But my album of the year for 2023 is Take Me Back to Eden by Sleep Token. I mean, it couldn't have been anything else for me this year. Granted, half the album came out before the rest of it, but even still, listening to it on release night was actually one of my most treasured memories of the year.
I distinctly remember you saying the exact words, "They've bloody done it again."
Did I say that?
Yeah.
Sounds like it's something I would have said. I think it's just brilliant. Even the latter half of the album, which weren't technically singles, I think holds 2 of their best songs in the whole discography in the title track and Euclid. Whole album's just a testament to the genius of that band. So that was my album of the year.
It's weird because I almost feel like I can't say whether I agree or disagree because I need to leave you in suspense for my list.
Well, how about you go with yours now?
I can go with mine now.
Yeah, you follow up.
I'm not going to bother going in with honourable mentions because it's basically a couple of the albums that Alex has mentioned there. So I'm going to go straight in with my number 3. It's Ruckus by Movements. Just back-to-back bangers. I think it summed up perfectly in the Truck Store Top 50 Albums of the Year leaflet.
Who wrote that?
Oh, God knows. Some wordsmith. The review in there says, the title Ruckus is suggestive of an album full of chaos and noise, but Movement's third album has more to offer than just attitude. Sure, there are songs like I Hope You Choke that are served to us with seasoned with grit and the bones left in, but there are softer offerings too, containing some delectable choruses and hooks that reel you in effortlessly with their mix of grunge, pop punk, and shoegazy flavourings.
Sounds like it was written by a man who used to do a blog.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's written very well, but very hard to read, seemingly. Yeah, I just loved that album. They're a band that I think when we reviewed that album, we mentioned how they couldn't write another Feel Something. They kind of struggled to find a way on the second album, but then this one was kind of the one, like different enough to
Kind of redefine them.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why I love it. That's why it's number 3. Number 2 is Holding Absence with the Noble Art of Self-Destruction. Just another album that kind of rounds off a trilogy, I think, for a band, and to end with that closing track, The Angel in the Marble, is one of the best songs in the year, I think, and just kind of rounds off everything brilliantly. Again, it's easy for bands to kind of tail off and go a bit softer, but they've kind of just stuck to whatever they want to be doing, really, and just made an excellent post-hardcore, very emotional album, and I love it a lot. Number 1, Sleep Token.
Duh.
Don't really need to say anything, do I? What a band. 2023 has been their year, and might be not just my favourite album of the year, it's a potential favourite album of all time of mine. I love it a lot.
Now we go to James.
So honourable mentions from me, some that you haven't said. Polaris Fatalism. Ends, The Son of Human Frailty was fantastic. Veil of Maya with Mother. And as an honourable mention for me, and I'm going to say this now because you're going to question it immediately and be like, oh, I've done a lot of this based on revisiting and listening to these albums properly in full. So actually an honourable mention to me, probably in 4th place, is Take Me Back to Eden.
4th?
Essentially, yeah.
Mad.
4, James?
4, yeah.
That's insane.
Exactly. But that's what it is.
That's one for all the Peep Show fans out there.
Number 3, agreeing with Alex, Graphic Nature and Mind Waiting to Die. I can't really add much more into what you said. It's a fantastically crafted album, let alone a debut. Flows effortlessly, full of rage, anger, emotion, and something that really draws you in and is very special. Number 2 is one that neither of you have mentioned, which is The Seventh Son by Bury Tomorrow. I feel like having band member changes that were quite significant, with a key vocalist leaving essentially, and taking up with new members, almost like a slight rebranding. They came back with The Seventh Son and it was fantastic. Seeing some of those songs live then as well made me fall in love with this album even more after their slot at Ali Pali supporting Sleeps. Fantastic. And then I think, no doubt for me, The Noble Art of Self-Destruction, number 1. I think at the time didn't realise how much I would love it, and it's one that has grown on me the more time I've spent with it. In particular, seeing some of the songs live that you guys haven't, they hit incredibly well. So many fantastic singles off of it. Like you say, Angel in the Marble is amazingly beautiful, and to have that not just as an album closer but live at the minute as a set closer is a beautiful like wrap up of the past few years, and as a trilogy again for them. Scissors, incredible live. Crooked Melody, False Dawn, fantastic. Headbridge Blues, I think to start it off, fantastic. An amazing album, one that I have found myself going back to time and time again, just playing from start to finish and then looping. I will succumb to the fact that both of you have Sleep Token as number 1,
should
and
we
that I don't really have.
Explain at the top now how we're going to decide winners.
I mean, we're just essentially going to do it on an average, aren't we?
Yep.
Okay, well, that's explained.
That's it. That's that.
There you go.
So, for example, this is a great example because myself and Alex have Sleep Token as both of our number 1s. It means that on average, it is our number 1. So,
Correct.
The Ragamuffin album of the year for 2023 is Sleep Token, Take Me Back to Eden. Applause.
Woo.
EP of the year.
And now we move on to the second category then, which is EP of the year.
EP.
I don't feel like there were many. Take a moment to appreciate that. I don't feel like there were many big stands out of EPs this year.
No.
To be honest, compared to last year, I think we were overwhelmed with some fantastic ones. In particular, like the Of Mice and Men. Was that last year, the Of Mice and Men trilogy? I can't even remember.
Year before,
Yeah,
I think. Because they did a full album this year.
That was it.
Time is fleeting. Bloody hell.
That's weird. But then I still think there wasn't enough great ones. However, I'll put it as an honourable mention for me is The Fear of Fear by Spiritbox. Really good, but just didn't kind of make the cut in terms of my top 3. Which at 3 is Better Lovers with God Made Me an Animal. I think as a debut offering from essentially a supergroup, which can kind of be a bit questionable sometimes. This just hit the nail on the head. Aggressive, wonderful. And I could find myself going over it again and again and again, which is always lovely. And especially with like these shorter releases. Number 2 was a late one, which was Gnosis, The Eternal Doom. After seeing them live, again, just 3 songs just being played constantly. But I think as an EP, as a lovely 2-track earlier on this year, we were blessed with the Upon Lost singles by Not Loose. They're fucking incredible. I think just to have them drop out of nowhere, they dominated the year, both those songs. And I would expect them maybe to be brought up in Song of the Year discussions as well. I think both of them are just incredible releases. So yeah, number 1 for me, the Upon Lost singles.
I'm going to just reel straight through mine because I'd basically forgotten every EP that had been released this year. So I've kind of thrown mine together today. Number 3 is Spirit Box. Number 2 is Not Loose one because James just reminded me that it exists. But I mean, I knew the songs existed. I really love the songs, but I remembered that it was like an EP and not just 2 singles. And my number 1 I'm actually going to give to Medium Build with his EP Health because I've just been playing that on essentially rotation for the entire year, so I can't not give it an award, or at least nominate it for an award.
Fair enough.
And again, it's not necessarily an alternative kind of thing, but this is my nomination.
Hey, it's your
welcome.
awards as
So
well.
I'm nominated Medium Build.
Different
You do
strokes
that.
for different folks. My number 3 is Gnosis, Eternal Doom. I thought it was bloody brilliant. Number 2, Not Loose, Upon Loss. Bloody brilliant. My EP of the year is Better Lovers, God Made Me an Animal. I think this may be quite possibly the most perfect introduction to a band.
That means Better Lovers.
Well,
I'd say
no, I would
Not
say
Loose.
you had Not Loose at 1.
Yeah.
I had it at
Oh,
2. You
yeah.
had it at 2.
Yeah, I think you might be
So
right.
there we go. Not Loose EP of the year.
Not Loose, motherfucker.
Music Video of the Year.
I wouldn't say we were spoilt for music videos this year.
Mm-hmm.
We have been in the past few years. And I think the music video is a lost art form. So I was actually a little bit disappointed. I was circling back through the year that we've had and thought, that's been fucking not a lot. But I could pick out 3. So at number 3, I've got Paramore, Running Out of Time. A very surrealist and weird video, but fits the vibe and I like it. Number 2, I've got Hot Mulligan with Gans Media Retro Games. A very silly video of them pretending to be wrestlers. The music video of the year for me was Not Loose, the Upon Lost double video.
For me, number 3, I've got Heretic by Bury Tomorrow. That was very cool. The feature with Loz, them all kind of sat around the table, and the violence that then ensued. Number 2, I've got Nightmare by Polaris. I think visually it was something very beautiful to watch. And the last kind of music video with Ryan, I felt that was quite a significant thing. Yeah, absolutely amazing. And then I agree with you with number 1, Alex, straight off the bat. The Upon Lost singles, Deep in the Willow, Everything is Quiet Now. The way they flowed into each other, they're kind of having the storyline throughout it in a way. Very well thought out, visually engaging, and yeah, great watch.
So my favourite music video of the year is the Not Loose one because it's the only one that I recall watching.
I think this makes it very easy.
And it's good.
Yeah.
Our first unanimous award.
Yep.
Not Loose, Deep in the Willow, Everything is Quiet Now. Music video of the year.
Congratulations, boys.
Is that their second of the night?
They're on 2 awards already.
Festival of the Year.
Now this is one we can really talk about because we've been to some festivals this year. That's my phone. Sorry, everyone.
We've been
Back to
spoiled.
airplane mode.
Spoiled this year.
Many festivals. Well, 6.
6. 5 of them were great.
I think I've been to 9.
Huh?
What's your one that's not... Oh, Slam Dunk.
Slam Dunk. Slam Dunk. Oh, impromptu. Shittiest bed of the year. Slam Dunk car park. For shit in the bed so badly.
Shittiest bed of the year.
Shittiest bed of the year.
I thought you meant literally because you slept there.
Oh, no. Felt like it. 'Cause I slept there. 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 'Cause I slept
I'm trying to think of my festivals. There was Beam Me Up Festival, which I'm counting. Then it would have been Takedown, Download, Slam Dunk, Trees, Truck, Burn It Down, Misery Loves Company. Maybe 8 then.
So you got a lot to choose from here then.
Yeah. I don't know how much of what we just said went in, but
No.
yeah,
So
I have a lot to choose
You have 8
from.
festivals you went to.
I have 8 festivals and I've had to narrow them down to a top 3.
Go on, Dan.
Very honourable mention to Burn It Down Festival,
Yeah.
which just comes in at number 4. It was very tough to choose between that one and the one I put at number 3, which is Download Festival.
Mm-hmm.
Because despite the start it got off to, check out our vlog on the channel if you don't know what I'm talking about. It was a bloody good time. And despite how bloody hot that was on the last day.
Alex got waterboarded.
Yep.
Yeah, and I essentially did
Consensually,
as well.
I was saying,
Yeah.
it wasn't against my human rights.
It was begging for it.
Fuck it out.
I thought it was a really good time. I thought all the bands were awesome. And I've just got so many great, memorable moments from that weekend. And I think that's all there is to say, really, I think.
That was number 3. I'm
Fair
intrigued
enough.
to see where you go from here.
Exactly. Where
I
can I
know
go
I was
from
at
here?
most of them, but I'm just intrigued your order.
Number 2 is Takedown Festival. Our first time there. It's big comeback. And I thought it was just brilliantly run. Amazing bands. And just such an awesome time. We're just flying around that venue, seeing so many bands. Getting the chance to be guests there and kind of see the VIP area, see some VIP performances, which were a paid upgrade. Seeing Sleep Token there. And our first event as press as well. So from a personal side of things, a lovely day.
I got a feeling I know what number 1's going to be, but I'm going to let you say it.
Number 1 is the one and only 2000 Trees. I don't know what to say about that festival. Just the vibe there is immaculate. Just so much fun. The lineup this year was like it was curated for me personally. It's like they just ran it by me and said, "Oh, Dan, who do you want to play?" And they'd made it happen for me. It was like a perfect gig.
Ooh, I just had a great idea for a podcast series.
So I'm going to start with Takedown. I've got that in there as well. I think for us to kind of make the journey down to something that we'd never been to before, it was making the return. We went down with a group of friends and had kind of no expectations of what to go into with it. And especially an indoor festival, we only had really done Outbreak last year in terms of knowing what that experience was like. So it still felt like something new. But the whole experience at Takedown was fantastic. The lineup was great. I think the layout was fantastic. Everything about it just seemed very well thought out. The process of it all, phenomenal bands, things that we'll never experience again, like that Sleep Token set. I think that is fantastic. Yeah, just an amazing time, and coming away from it just blown away and in awe of what we'd experienced. So then that leads me to my number 2, which is reverse to kind of what you had at your 2-3, which is Download for me. Similarly, shit start. We'll be frank about it. It did not go to plan. However, I think like once we got into the music, straight away, it did start to rectify itself. Just something about being, I think, at Donington Park with a big group of mates. We're going there to have a laugh, to drink, to see some music, to have some fun. I kind of a little summer holiday getaway. It was just amazing to be back there. So many fantastic sets, some that I'll speak about later on in other awards that really stood out to me. But it was just a wonderful time. And very hot, of course. And I agree with you. 2000 Trees, Festival of the Year. Number 1, there's something about that place which is quite magical. I think if you haven't seen the first vlog where it shows me and Alex going there and just walking into the forest and just being in awe of it, you kind of have that for the first time going around all of Trees. Like you say, the lineup was incredible. A great time was had by all. I love 2000 Trees, Festival of the Year for me.
I cannot distinguish between these two, so I've got a joint third place of Takedown and Burn It Down. I can't even put into words.
Both pretty similar festivals
Similar
in a way.
similar vibes and similar experiences for us, obviously. Being very, very grateful that we got to experience it the way that we did. And just both perfect examples of how strong and thriving the UK alternative scene is, particularly on the smaller end of the scale. Like, you know, those festivals were packed out from doors opening through to the end of the day. people loved it, and people were just overjoyed to be experiencing the best of British and some overseas bands as well. So yeah, joint third place for those two. My number 2 spot is for Download. Obviously not without its issues, but at the same time, the sheer scale and spectacle that it was, I mean, for me personally, 2 nights of Metallica was a dream come true.
Something I forgot to add about Download actually is it's probably the first year that I've been at least where I've wanted to see all 3 headliners.
Yeah.
Which kind of bumps it up a bit for me.
Mm.
Anyway, this is your time to shine, Alex.
Yeah, it was a dream come true to see Metallica. Saw a bunch of other bands on the lineup that I loved. Felt vindicated as a fan to see Bring Me overwhelmingly succeed. Arguably be the best headline set of the weekend. Aside from essentially losing vision in my right eye for the better part of Sunday and being stuck in the car for 9 hours, it was alright.
I think it was more than 9.
It was a lot more than 9.
Again, blocked it out of my memory.
Check our vlog to find out how long it was.
Oh, and I just want to say dishonourable mention once again to Slam Dunk. So
Do better.
Do better.
You've done better before.
Oh, we just let people in that didn't have a car parking pass. Well, that'll be the fucking problem, won't it? Anyway, do better.
It's not just the car parking pass.
Not just the car park.
I blocked a lot of that out of my memory.
Plenty of issues.
Anyway, that rant's on the channel as well. Go and watch that. After this.
But your festival of the year?
It's obviously 2000 Trees, isn't it? Vibes immaculate, lineup perfect. Just have to nip up the road. What more could I want?
I forgot to mention that, didn't
half
we?
an hour drive around the corner.
What a dream.
Easy work.
Oh, what are we? The closest car to the entrance? Yes, we are. Cheers.
Easy.
Quite simply the best festival in the country. So, that's that.
And
That we've been to. If you're a festival organiser listening to this, and we haven't been to your festival before, have us along. Prove us wrong. Prove us that you're the best festival in the UK.
But meanwhile, 2000 Trees is our unanimous Ragamuffin Festival of the Year.
Woo! And it probably will be every year.
Discovery of the Year.
I think a new category that we've put in this time, which is Discovery of the Year. This has been a year, as always looking for new things to listen to. So I think I'm particularly myself just going to highlight one band, that being Landmarks. That being a landmark discovery for me. Thank you, Dan, for saying that earlier.
Thanks for the credit.
I'll give you that credit. I'll give you that. Going into Slam Dunk, I felt this year there weren't as many bands that I knew of that I was desperate to go and see. And so it led me to a path of kind of just varying up, really checking some bands out more. And that made me find Landmarks and absolutely kind of fall in love with their music, listen to it absolutely incessantly. Like, it made its way straight into my Spotify Wrapped. Blistering by them was my song of the year that I played the most. So it kind of just shows you how much I really delved into their catalogue. Absolutely loved it. Phenomenal live set. Booked tickets to go and see them on the UK tour next year already. A massive discovery for me and love it.
My discovery of the year goes to an artist I've already nominated for an award, and one that isn't particularly alternative, but it's medium build. Usually I discover new music from going to gigs or like listening to playlists or something. I discovered medium build via the magic of TikTok, which is proving that, you may have heard of it, which is proving that it's not particularly damaging to the music industry. If anything, it's helping a lot of artists push their music, get out there, find new audiences. And I generally think this guy is going to sort of go on to be a pretty big thing. Not necessarily in the alternative scene, but in sort of the general music scene. He's got is a very addictive kind of singer-songwriter style of songwriting, which just hooks me in and seems to have hooked quite a lot of people in as well. Because every time I see him on Instagram playing new shows, there's more and more people singing along, bigger and bigger crowds. So yeah, my discovery of the year is medium build.
My discovery of the year is going to be forever linked to my regret of the year, and that is not going to Outbreak. But for me, there's one band that I've just been obsessed with, and it's Speed. There's just something about their style of hardcore and watching their live shows that just I'm all in on. I can't put it's kind of hard for me to put it into words, but I'm just obsessed. It's the only way I can put it. And like, there have been bands that I've wanted to see for years, bands I wanted to see for my whole life, and Speed have leapfrogged all of them to the top of my list. It's like my only goal for next year.
And to think you might not be at Download.
Well, shit happens, but they'll do a warm-up show or they'll do something else, I'm sure. Yeah, that's that.
So yeah, I guess there isn't one award for that. It's just individual awards there.
Yeah. 3
Discoveries
new
of the
discoveries
year.
for us, because we're all for discovering new music here.
And we've got even more discoveries to come because we've posed this category out to the Ragamuffin Club Facebook group. What did they have to say, Alex?
Yeah, we asked people in our Ragamuffin Club group to let us know what their discovery of the year has been, because really that's the whole point of this podcast, is to talk about and find new music and share what we love with other people. Tyler said, Knock Loose has been a big one for me this year, been diving into more hardcore for sure. Lewis said, Love Is Noise and Visions are two that I can't stop listening to. Discovered them at Misery Loves Company and I just can't get enough.
Gary said, saw Graphic Nature twice and Dying Wish both for the first time this year. Both were brilliant. Also saw the new lineup of Dream State at Burn It Down, and have to admit that I was a bit sceptical with being a fan of CJ, but Jesse absolutely smashed it. Would love to throw Skin Failure in the mix as well. Laura said, in terms of new discoveries for me, I saw Make Them Suffer supporting Stray and was very impressed with them, hoping to catch them at Download next year. Bloodstock this year really opened up some bands like Crowbar and Decapitated, who have been around for ages, but never really listened to them until this year. Other new discoveries included from Bloodstock, Waterlines, Tribe of Ghosts, and Those Once Loyal. And then finally, while she had listened to them before, she saw Alien Weaponry for the first time this year supporting Gojira, fell in love with a live show, and another one that is a priority for Download next year.
Ed has said, the whole scene is quite new for me. Elder Emo checking in. So a few of my bands might not fit the bill, but the latest albums from Polaris and Hollow Front have been my must-listens for this year. I've also enjoyed listening to bands from the continent, such as Anchor, Future Palace. I've also liked the bleed, merging and mixing of genres this year. Not sure if it's necessarily new, but the collab between Megan Thee Stallion and Spirit Box, as an example, before this year I'd have steered clear of. Yeah, that's a... Have you guys heard that? Megan Thee Stallion, Spirit Box?
I have.
Love it, yeah. It's really
Banger,
cool.
to be fair.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome.
It weirdly works
Yeah.
very, very well. I mean, a lot of bands here that have been said that, I mean, we love in particular. I agree with Edward with the Polaris one. Like I say, like, had an honorable mention album of the year for me. Make Them Suffer, I think, was a big one from the Stray gig as well for me. I really enjoyed that, and I'm hyped to see them. And I've actually been delving into their music a lot more recently. So that's really getting me excited. Graphic Nature, we've said enough already. Dying Wish. Skin Failure. We had the interview with them at Burn It Down, so you can go and check that out. Dream State as well. Big fan. We've just done the latest podcast episode where we reviewed their new song, so you can listen to that as well as our perfect gig with Jesse. That was a lot of fun just to chat about all things Dream State. Love Is Noise and Visions. Amazing
Yeah, that's
stuff.
a good one as well. That's where festivals are great, especially ones like Take Down and Burn It Down.
Yeah. And Misery Loves Company, it all
'cause
shows that kind of grassroots
Yeah.
and picking up these new bands, which is something so important. And these festivals just do so fucking well.
And I'll tell you what, one to watch in 2024, Love Is Noise.
Yeah, because you
sure.
couldn't make it to Misery Loves Company, but you were kind of intrigued by what it was going to be like, because I remember you asking afterwards.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Thank you to those in the Ragamuffin Club that answered. We want to incorporate more of this into future podcast episodes.
Alex, how would you join the Ragamuffin Club?
Well, that's easy, James. It's in the fucking description of this episode. Just go down there, click the link to the Facebook group, come on in. There'll be discussions, behind-the-scenes content, and a whole bunch of other fun stuff. So, come on. You're all welcome.
Be a Ragamuffin.
Or if you're an audio listener, then find the YouTube video for this episode and it'll be there.
I might even put it in the Spotify description. If
Okay,
you're lucky.
put links.
I think so.
Oh, ignore what I just said then.
Apple Podcasts.
it's in the description
shut
below.
up, look, you're going to have to find it yourself. But
No one uses that.
Gig of the Year.
So we spoke about live music a minute ago with the festivals we've been to, and so we're going to keep on that track. We're going to talk about the gigs we've been to this year. We've done a lot. You can go and see a lot of them on the channel. I remember starting the year with Casey, and we've ended the year with a few different various ones together, so there's been a hell of a lot in between. Some honourable mentions in particular for me were Counterparts with Dying Wish, Paleface Swiss, and Kubla Khan. That was just fucking stacked. And seeing I Prevail and Trash Boat, that was a really, really cool one in Wembley Arena. But number 3 was Beartooth, Motionless and Stray. That was such a good evening. Not being the biggest Motionless fan, but enjoying the set. For me, having the Beartooth and the Stray together was incredible. The Stray one being a band that I really got into heavily last year after Euthanasia in particular, delved into the catalogue. Beartooth being a band that I've absolutely loved and adored for the longest time since seeing them in smaller venues. The production on that show, like, fantastic. And just that as a whole gig, special. Number 2 is kind of just based off one band, which was Knock Loose. When
Motherfucker.
Exactly. When me and Alex went and saw them at the Dome, I can't remember who the support was, but I wasn't...
Morning.
Who?
Morning.
I wasn't too into it at the time, but it's more, I think, of that gig scenario, being where we were and seeing Knock Loose there, fucking going onto the stage, you know, barrier, everything like that. It was just something entirely that evening in itself just stands out on its own. But number 1 was A Night at Ali Pali. It was Polaris. It was Barry Tomorrow. It was While She Sleeps. Every band I love, I listened to, I pitted. Production for Sleeps was
Is that
incredible.
the new Live, Laugh, Love?
Exactly. That's the new version.
That'd be nice on the wall up there, actually.
Every band I listened to, the Sleeps production was fucking incredible. I was blown away by that. The set was fantastic. Hearing stuff like Our Courage, Our Cancer, which they haven't played in ages. I remember like kind of seeing you when they played Seven Hills, Alex, which is your favourite song. Barry Tomorrow, I think, just surprised me with how fucking good they were live at that moment in there. And I just remember as well with Polaris just turning around to everyone being like, if they open with Nightmare, I'm saying goodbye, I'm going into the pit. They opened with Nightmare, and I think I just looked at a couple of you, the riff started, and I just fucked off straight into the mid and I was gone. It was an incredible evening at an incredible venue, and that, to me, might not just be my gig of the year, that might be the best gig I've ever been to.
I was going to go straight into my top 3. Number 3, there's nothing like seeing a big band in a smaller venue, and that makes my number 3 Enter Shikari at SWX in Bristol. They still brought their light show that they're quite famous for. Just a set packed full of bangers. Row was all over the place. Just like I said, there's nothing like seeing a band in a venue that they're probably too big to be playing in. It's always just such a special experience. And Shikari have had an amazing year as well. They'd like to start it with
Number 1?
Yeah, a number 1 album. To start it with a show like that was just awesome. And one I'll remember for a long time. Number 2, we're off to Wembley for Beartooth. Just all 3 bands on that lineup, Beartooth, Motionless and White, Straight from the Path, all just put on an immense show. Beartooth especially, it wasn't quite sold out. It was an upgraded venue. It was meant to be at Brixton originally. They could have probably gone to somewhere like the Apollo and just have it be sort of comfortably full, but they went, nah, let's do Wembley. And although they didn't sell it out, it definitely wasn't full. They made it feel full, and they put on a Wembley-worthy performance, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Loads of pyro. Caleb had a bloody flamethrower on the stage at one point.
Gosh, I forgot about it, yeah.
And it's not only that, I think the thing that makes that gig great as well is, and you'll see in our vlogs, we like to kind of convey the gig experience, and part of that is exploring a city with your mates beforehand. And that's what we did. We kind of wandered about Camden, which we pretty much always do when we go to London.
We love a bit of Camden.
We always just have a good time. We have like a good afternoon around town, and then go to a gig in the evening and have a merry time,
Always good fun.
which is what makes a gig great for me.
So that's your number 2. Then what's your number 1?
Number 1, we're staying at Wembley. Sleep Token.
I thought that
We've just talked about it on our most recent podcast episode, pretty in depth. So I won't talk too much about it now, but it just felt like such a special show. It felt like a moment in history. Generally felt like we're seeing I guess the start of a new era for sure, but like it felt like witnessing the crowning moment of like a new generational band that is just going to be talked about for decades to come. So it felt truly, truly special, not just for myself and the other fans there, but for the band themselves. You could tell that it just meant a lot to them.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a very like captivating and emotional performance. Just an incredible night.
Alexander.
So my number 3 spot, I have Beartooth, Motionless, and Stray. Just an absolutely stacked 3 runner bands there.
Yep.
And like we said, I mean, Beartooth and Caleb specifically did a perfect job of making you truly believe that for that hour and a half they were an arena band. Like,
Yep.
Caleb, in my opinion, is the best frontman in heavy music at the moment, and that was proof that you can turn that room and
Make it yours.
and make it yours. Yeah. So that was just fantastic.
By the way, I forgot to add something on that show. Sorry, I'm interrupting Alex's top 3 again. I'll interrupt yours next, James, so it's
Sorry,
even.
go for it.
I don't think they broke even. They probably maybe just about broke even on that show with the amount of pyro and the amount of money they invested into putting that show on, considering it wasn't a full arena, which is kind of like the commitment, I think. It shows the commitment that Beartooth have to just putting on a great show, whether they make money or not.
Do you reckon they could sell out if they came back and tried again?
I think that's probably part of the reason they kind of went all out on it, to try and convince people, like,
Tell you, mate,
hey,
come back. Yeah.
we're here. Yeah, this is how we do it. Maybe if it was the only show in the south.
The tour next year is at Ali Pali.
I can't
Is it Ali
remember.
Pali? October.
I am not
I need to
paying
get
attention
tickets
to
for that.
anything. Right. Anyway, awards.
I think.
Sorry, I've derailed it again.
Number 2, I have While She Sleeps, Bury Tomorrow, and Polaris.
Ooh,
At Ali Pali.
I'm
thought that'd
surprised
be
that's
number
two.
1.
It was a bloody brilliant time. Not crazy into Polaris, but they won me over and fully, pulled me in. Bury Tomorrow, that made me a fan for life with that set. And Sleeps, it felt very gratifying as a fan. Like, we've seen them at the Bullingdon in Oxford, which is a tiny shithole venue. It's lovely, but do you know what I mean? It's a tiny, grubby little, pub, back room of a pub, to Alexandra Palace. So that felt very momentous as a fan of Sleeps and a long-time fan of Sleeps. But my gig of the year, for me personally, it was Counterparts, Kubla Khan, Paleface Swiss, and Dying Wish at Electric Brixton. Perfect. I'm a hardcore boy to my roots. It was the perfect escalation from opener to headliner. I'm normally averse to 4-band lineups, but for me, that whole evening, if anything, went too quickly. It's too much fun.
It did fly by.
It was perfect. Like Dying Wish, the pit started, which I love when people are up for it for the first band. Paleface Swiss, it got a bit rowdier. Kubla Khan, a bit more rowdier. And then for Counterparts to play their biggest headline show to date to a room that showed them so much love and so much energy. To me, it was cherished. So that's my gig of the year.
That was a cracking lineup, to be fair.
So we got to think now a little bit. So I had Sleeps at 1 and you had them at 2. Beartooth I had at 3.
I had him at 3.
You had them at 3.
I had 2. I think Sleep's probably pipped that.
I think a 1 and a 2 pipped that.
I think a 1 and a 2 would have to pip that. So by that degree, Sleeps, Bury Tomorrow, Polaris at Ali Pali is gig of the year. Followed very closely by Beartooth, Motionless, and Stray. I think we're fair to say with that.
Yeah.
Well done to all involved.
Well done.
Live Performance of the Year.
As we move on from gig of the year, we move on to live performance of the year. Something that's kind of similar, but we're going to kind of explain why we're going with this. You can't have a live set from a festival as really gig of the year.
No, you can't.
And also, it could be an opening band
It could
that
be
have
a
put on the
support
best
slot.
set you've seen this year.
Yeah.
So we need to differentiate between the gigs, between the festivals. What's the best just set by a band that we've watched?
It's almost like a bonus round.
Exactly.
But it's still a worthy award.
Very worthy. Very worthy award. Alex, would you like to kick it off?
I'd love to. I've got...
Thanks, James.
That was from like a newsreader.
that was... Hi, James. I'm here at the Ragamuffin Awards. I've got
I
two...
was trying to think of what it reminded me of. I was like, thanks, Phil.
My honourable mentions are Low That Takedown. Bloody brilliant. Bloody brilliant. The best.
I just wish that set was longer.
Me too. We've seen them a handful of times now. I think that was the best they've ever been. Maybe. This year. at least.
Outbreak.
Outbreak was good. Anyway. My other honourable mention is for Bring Me the Horizon at Download. It very narrowly missed out on my top 3 because I tried to base this off of my personal enjoyment and how much fun I had. So at number 3, I have Kubla Khan at 2000 Trees.
Can I just interrupt you immediately?
Mhm.
I was in the photography bit doing that, and at one point I just turned round and saw you just throwing down, and then you came out of that as well with the biggest smile on your face, which I'd never seen. But now I'm going to let you hear it from your point of view.
I just love the way that Alex has gone. Bring Me the Horizon nearly made the top 3, but this is my personal enjoyment. So number 3 is Kublai Khan.
Listening to them live gave me like a +10 strength buffer. Like, I was swinging with some of the biggest dudes in that pit.
The beacon was nearby.
It was fantastic. Also, as well, some of the best like breakdown calls, crowd engagement. Turn someone into guacamole and tell me what it tastes like. Who says that?
Baby.
Just brilliant. Like, loved it. Number 2, I've got Bob Vylan 2000 Trees Forest set. This is arguably the most in danger I think I've ever felt watching a band play since maybe I was 12.
So Ralph Wiggum right now.
Yeah, I literally chuckled and went, "I'm in danger." It felt like lightning in a bottle. Like, in 5 years' time, when Bob Vylan are massive, we can say we saw them play to that environment. It was crazy, almost too crazy. But my number 1 live performance of the year, Knocked Loose at the Dome. Set list perfect, crowd perfect, venue perfect, stage dives crack on, crowd surf crack on. You know, security looked after people but let everyone have their fun. The Dome is perfect for hardcore. And it was off the back of Knocked Loose having the Upon Lost singles, Coachella, like arguably their biggest year ever.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. And live, like, you know, for a hardcore band, like the way they've refined their sound and made it so tight and perfect live, like, they're just flawless.
Agreed.
Flawless performance.
I agree. It was fantastic, which is why it's sadly just only one of my honourable mentions. Because we've seen some fucking good sets this year. Amongst that, I agree with the Bring Me Download. It didn't quite make it for me. The Counterparts headline set was fantastic. And even the While She Sleeps headline set hasn't quite made it to my top 3. At number 3, it was Slipknot at Download. I got to see songs that, first of all, I never thought I'd see, ones I never thought I'd hear again live. Snuff, Blister Exists, even just hearing Prelude 3.0 just come on at the beginning, Purity. That was momentous. I cried during Snuff. That was just something different just to have that being played. Number 2, Landmarks at Slam Dunk. Similarly, like I've said, they were my discovery of the year. That set was just fucking incredible. I'd like you both to kind of experience it because musically they were so fucking tight, and it was one of the best kind of sounds from a band of just like absolute unity on stage that I've ever witnessed in my life. And number 1 is Holding Absence in the Forest at Trees. I think they were fantastic. Fantastic on main stage. They were fantastic when I saw them on their headline tour recently. But hearing some of those older songs, as well as a couple of new ones mixed in, but mostly hearing some of those older songs in the forest, in that scenario, was something incredibly special because we didn't know what was coming. And I remember, I think, turning around to you at one point.
It was
next
you.
To you.
It was You Are Everything.
I
was like, we're going in.
Yeah, that. And I remember, I think, turning around to you right at the start, being like, "Oh, I hope they play Monochrome." And I think they opened with it.
I think they did.
And
yeah.
I was like losing my shit just right off the bat straight away. That set just meant a lot. Just seeing that. Yeah, I just have so many good memories of seeing that live, and I can like close my eyes and take myself back to it immediately and be like right there in that moment, which I think is something incredible.
I think honourable mentions go into basically everything that you guys have already mentioned, whether it was a mention or in your top 3. I thought of one literally today while I was thinking of my list that I don't think James was there for, but let me. This isn't even my top 3, by the way. Just setting the scene here for an honourable mention. It's the first proper day at Download. You've had a rough day the day before, but you've been bevved up, having a good time around the camp during the day. The sun's out, it's baking hot. It's a beautiful day. You're on your way to the arena to see the first band of the weekend. Go over to the iconic main stage, Ginger. That was just, because of the whole circumstance around it, just a fucking amazing time. Am I right or am I right?
You're so right. So
Just
right.
being around mates, you've had a few drinks. There's an awesome, like, fucking tight, brilliant band on the main stage. You're like, this is going to be a great weekend. Even after what we went through yesterday, this is going to be an awesome weekend. And it starts here. So that gets an honourable mention from me for that occasion, I guess. But number 3, I'm going to go with Enter Shikari's Slam Dunk headline performance. For everything that Slam Dunk was or wasn't, Enter Shikari just about made it worth the trip for me. The production they brought out, they've always had amazing production, but as soon as they were wheeling those boxes out, I was like, what the hell's going on here? But for me, like, the bit that stole the show was that bit when Raoul just climbed on top of, like, what they'd made to seem like a water tank and, like, essentially dipped his arm in and then fell in, seemingly, and did a whole song sort of from inside this tank, essentially. I just thought it was amazing production, an amazing set list with a mix of oldies and new in there, and just a performance that saved the day for me, essentially. So I couldn't not put it in the list. Number 2, I'm giving it to my favourite band at my favourite festival, the Wonder Years at 2000 Trees on the main stage. They played Cardinals, which is my favourite song of theirs, and then Cardinals 2 back to back, which I think from that point on, because that was like the second and third song in the set, I think. From that point on, there was just something that completely overwhelmed me about being in that environment at my favourite festival with some of my favourite people, seeing my favourite band, and for the entire set, I was just like uncontrollably sobbing tears of joy. It was just, yeah, I don't know what else I can say about that, really. That's why it gets into my top 3. Number 1, for the balance of spectacle and my own personal enjoyment, Bring Me the Horizon at Download Festival. Completely stole the show that weekend. James is in shock.
I'm surprised you haven't said the recent Sleep Token set. I was really thinking that was going to be
I thought you were going to say Sleep Token at the start of the year.
Yeah, I'm
that was
surprised.
That was great as well. We'll address that now. The reason Sleep Token at Wembley hasn't made this is A, because I've already given it Gig of the Year, and B,
Separate categories.
live performance alone, it wasn't their best performance in terms of the spectacle and like the statement in time. Amazing, but not the best time I've seen them, I don't think. Anyway, Bring Me the Horizon. They stole the show, didn't they?
They did.
They're put up against Slipknot and Metallica,
I think Metallica
and they
really offered
blew
much
them.
fight,
They
but
blew them out of the water.
the
What more
production
can you
was
say?
incredible. I will give yeah.
I know Ollie's not the most he hasn't got the most amazing voice, but as a performer, for entertainment value,
He was
for the
good,
spectacle,
though. I think he was.
for the spectacle, they were just excellent. So for live performance of the year, it's Bring Me the Horizon at Download.
We have a situation on our
We
hands,
do have a
then.
situation.
And I think we were looking at each other, being like,
Trying to figure out.
how are we going to do this? Because I think as soon as it got to your number 2, I don't know if you I thought it would be a Sleep Token one, and I was like, we have all in our top 3 chosen different gigs, so we've got to come to a unanimous decision here.
Oh, we haven't chosen any.
None of our
Did
3.
you not put Not Loose in your top 3?
No.
No.
Slipknot, Landmarks, Holding Absence. Kubla Khan,
Bob
Bob Vylan, Not Loose. Bring Me, Wonder Years, and Shikari. So, we've got to come to a unanimous decision here.
Just a bit of who's put the best argument forward.
Well, I'll also say we both honourable mentioned Bring Me,
And that was going to be my point.
and I think the way you just worded that, I'm happy to give it to Bring Me, to be honest. Because also you think about the not just at the performance itself, but what it signifies.
yeah,
It can't not
like
actually
New Blood,
be performance of the year.
the
That performance will
So why wasn't it your
the
performance of
Doubters
the year?
as well.
no, because but you know what I mean. But in the grand scheme of things, that performance will change the landscape of Download.
I'm happy for that to be our unanimous decision.
Well, it's not a unanimous decision, is it? But
It was
Well,
never going to be. But in terms of our
Agreed.
Yeah.
group agreed, our Ragamuffin live performance of the year goes to Bring Me the Horizon at Download Festival. 2023.
By split decision.
Split decision.
Song of the Year.
We only have 2 awards left.
Big ones.
Oh,
Big boys.
It's the big hitters. We're on to Song of the Year.
They're all big hitters, really.
I have a lot of honourable mentions here.
There's been a lot of songs this year.
There have been.
At least 20.
And you can
See our list of 20
see our Instagram.
on our social media. At Ragamuffin666.
Follow on all platforms. Right, I'm gonna rattle some off. Are you ready?
That was completely accidental, by the way.
Hey, it worked. I'm gonna rattle some songs off. These are all honourable mentions to me. So, Sleep Token, The Summoning, Holding Absence, False Dawn, Holding Absence, Scissors, Polaris, Nightmare, Not Loose, Everything Is Quiet Now, Upon a Burning Body, Insatiable Hunger, and Beartooth, Doubt Me. None of them made the top 3.
Ooh. We'll move on, but I just want to address the Summoning as an honourable mention.
It's an honourable mention. It's an honourable mention. It was a good song. Not my song of the year.
It's a good song. He says it's a good song.
It's a good song. Hey, not my song of the year. Number 3, I think, is going to be one that's going to surprise the both of you incredibly. It came out in September. They're a band at Burn It Down. They made a comeback.
Shields.
Yes.
Ah,
Bury Me by Shields.
Brilliant.
I have listened to this song so fucking much. It was amazing to see it live, just to open the set. It was really, really strong. I think the song works incredibly. It's a kind of defiant return for it. I can't say the amount of times I've probably listened through the song and then just started it again and then again. It's been on repeat just as a single on itself so many times. I absolutely love it. It's everything I look for really in a metalcore song, I think. You can hear the melody in my head straight away. Well, you can't hear the melody. I can hear the melody in my head straight away. Yeah, I love it.
I can hear the melody in my head.
There you go. That's fine.
I can't hear the melody in your head.
No one else can hear it for you. Moving on.
Wonderful. Number 2 is Deep in the Willow by Not Loose. Just fucking incredible. Heavy as shit. Not Loose motherfucker, as we'll just say. Chorus, absolutely banging. Love that song. Fucking incredible. I have to base this not just on personal preference and what I think is my favourite song. I think an important metric here is Spotify Wrapped. The amount of times I've listened to a song from this year and the most amount of times I've listened to it. Because obviously there's something there I'm going back to, whether I just know that I love it or whether my brain knows that I love it and I just don't fucking realise. But it's a Crooked Melody by Holding Absence. It had a ridiculous amount of listens for me. It is...
I'll tell you what, I can hear the melody in my head.
There you go. Is it crooked?
It's slightly.
A
little ski whiff, one would say.
Sing myself a skew of melody. I love that.
I'm never going to unhear that now. Fantastic song. I feel it's like... I feel it could potentially be like almost an Afterlife Part 2 in just kind of how big it is as a live song. I think it's hard to kind of knock Afterlife off the top of that just for how much it goes off live. But I think a Crooked Melody is like a close second from that regard. A fantastic song. I love it to pieces. It is my song of 2023.
I'll go next
All right then.
because it might be kind of controversial. So my honourable mentions go to Not Loose, Deep in the Willow, and Everything Is Quiet Now, and also to Sleep Token with The Summoning.
Oh,
So close, but I really wrestled with head and heart on this top 3. I think the most. At number 3, I've got Kubla Khan, Theory of Mind. I was addicted. This was the song for me that was the easiest to just play back to back to back for hours at a time. Like, I couldn't even tell you. I just love it. I think it's just brilliant. At number 2, I've got Blue Eyed Boy by Trophy Eyes, which I think is their best song. I think it's surpassed.
Definitely the biggest banger.
Biggest banger. For me, it surpasses Chlorine and Heaven Sent and anything off that album, I think it is their magnum opus so far. This one might shock you. And the thing is, as I say it, I'm losing confidence in myself, so I'm going to try and reaffirm.
Just say it really fast.
My song of the year for 2023 is 30 Under 13 by Better Lovers. I think, when you really think about it, the level of brilliance that has gone into that song, you've got 3 Every Time I Die members, Greg from Dillinger, Will Putney with the Midas touch. Like, it's perfectly chaotic. It's everything you would hope that mix of people would create and more. And I think it will just, I think that song will just continue to echo on, like, as that band continues to progress. I think it's just
that should
brilliant.
be an honourable mention for
and
me.
I think it's almost, in a lot of ways, kind of the perfect debut song, especially for who those musicians are. So it is my song of the year.
I missed that on my honourable mentions for sure. That's a fucking great song. Absolutely great song. Yeah.
And addictive, doesn't fuck about, straight away.
See, I'm thinking about that song. I'm not going to change any of mine.
Is that one that practically sounds like it loops round?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to change mine at all. But I hear that immediately in my head, and I think back to, like, there's like the end of one of the sections. There's like a little bit of a gap, and then the chorus hits just to finish it off. Strong, very strong.
Thank you.
Don't question yourself.
Thanks, man.
Be confident in your decisions. Mr. Bird.
Number 3.
He's straight in.
No honourable mentions.
Okay, honourable mentions to everything by Sleep Token, especially Granite. Number 3, Blue Eyed Boy by Trophy Eyes. We've covered it. Banger. Number 2, God Damn It All by The Wonder Years. A song that almost didn't exist. They were celebrating the 10th anniversary of The Greatest Generation this year. They went back, looked at some demos from that album, and kind of brought this song to life. So yeah, really nice sort of throwback song. Massive sort of chorus, loads of hooks, massive bridge, everything you want from a perfect The Wonder Years song. And they played it live when I saw them this year. Amazing.
Cool that it's sort of a throwback, but also new. I think that's a rare.
They've done it a few times now. It's very cool. But not as cool as The Summoning by Sleep Token. It's just... I remember when that song first dropped at midnight and we were all in the group chat just kind of reacting to it, and we were like, where's it going now? What's happening here? And I think I'll always remember listening to that song for the first time. And I don't think I can say that for many songs that I've listened to. And I've listened to some songs.
Some, yeah.
So, and again, like, technically as well, it's just excellent. A showcase of everything that Sleep Token do well. I love it. There's a reason a lot of other people love it as well. So it's my number 1. But if my brain maths is correct, I think we've got a shock victory.
Trophy Eyes.
For Trophy Eyes.
Blue Eyed Boy.
I'm going to be honest, I don't remember the song.
Oh, it's so good. I love that.
No.
I actually kind of love that that's one. If it's any consolation, The Summoning would be 4th for me. But that doesn't factor into the aggregate. So.
No, it doesn't.
There we
Wow.
are.
Look at that.
Well, 2023 Song of the Year, Trophy Eyes, Blue Eyed Boy. I'm absolutely made up about that. That's brilliant.
Artist of the Year.
Now, we've had some laughs, we've had some fun, we've made some memories. But it's time to get serious. We have approached the final award of the evening.
Ragamuffin 2023 Artist of the Year.
I think this will be unanimous. I think that makes Dan
But it's not just about the result, it's about
taking
the
part.
friends that we make along the way. And the bands that we mention along the way. Because
Exactly.
there's been some great artists this year that have had some phenomenal years.
For sure.
A phenomenal year.
Mm. I think it's, let's not get ahead of ourselves. But it's spots 2, through 5 that are, I think, where the bulk of the discussion is to be had.
Yeah.
So for this, we decided to go top 5. There are a lot of bands that have had, like we say, a fantastic 2023. I'm going to start off number 5 with Sleeps. I think not very active for pretty much the first 8 months of the year. A few like kind of gigs here and there, but a lot of it kind of was built in anticipation of Ali Pali. That show sold out. They pulled off something absolutely fucking incredible. And to end the year, we've had a couple of singles, and we're looking forward to Download Festival in a major spot next year, which is going to be sick. Spot number 4, I've got Beartooth. After the incredible Wembley show at the start of the year, we've had an album release, just kind of gone on to become bigger and bigger and bigger. A fantastic band. Number 3, I've got Graphic Nature. A debut album, and then the arc they've had as a band in 2023 has been something amazing just to sit back and witness. They have really just kind of thrust themselves into a fantastic space in the music scene. I think they deserve so much more already, I think, than where they're at. And this is probably one of the bands to watch over the next year, 2, 3 years. They are absolutely incredible. I think they have got something special, and they will do big things. Number 2, I've got is Knock Loose. I think with the Coachella, with Reading Leeds, with the show we saw at the Dome, the Upon Lost singles, winning 2 awards from us already shows they've had a fantastic year this year. They have really grown and made themselves big players in not just the hardcore scene, just in the overall arching metal and heavy scene. The fact at the minute I think they're missing from Download is ridiculous. I think they should be on that bill, and if they are on that bill and get added, they should be fairly high up. They deserve that, the hard work they've put in. If not, I'm begging Outbreak, bring them back for a headliner slot next year, and I'll be there immediately. Artist of the Year, I think, has to be without a doubt Sleep Token. The album, the Wembley show, the kind of the build up to that, looking at where they started the year, releasing those singles in January and absolutely blowing up. There is no band, whether you're a fan of them or not, you cannot deny in any way, shape or form the achievements they have made this year. I think it was a top 3 album when it was released as well. It was. They have done things in this past year that many bands aspire to do and will never do. And so for that, I feel like they have to be Artist of the Year without a doubt.
Yeah, or I can go. I don't mind.
Oh, okay.
No, I want to go.
All right, go on.
No, I'm joking.
For me, at number 5, I've got Knock Loose. They've had really an incredible year, particularly sort of live, and I think more so in the US is where their impact has been seen, which is why I've put them at 5. Obviously, Coachella was massive. The size of the headline shows they're playing, ludicrous. I think the only thing personally that
They're playing with Ludacris.
I wish. The only thing personally for me I would have liked is maybe more music from the year, but at the same time,
I feel like next year though.
It's fine. Yeah. At number 4, I've got Graphic Nature. Just an absolutely phenomenal year off the back of an incredible album. They're also just couldn't happen to a nicer group of guys. Like, you can see that the consistency and hard work has paid off for them. You match that with the talent and the songwriting they've got and the intensity of their live shows. Like, I think they're a perfect example of, like, the fact that, like, I think word of mouth can still spread in, like, the modern age, because we've seen them like 4 or 5 times, like a lot this year.
Yeah, they've been everywhere.
And every single show, the crowds are bigger, rowdier, more involved, more energetic. Like, it's like a tornado. It's like it's impossible to not get sucked into what they're doing. So they've had an incredible year. At number 3, I've put Kubla Khan. It's been a weird year. It's like they're a band that have been around for a really long time, and it feels like all of a sudden everyone is gone.
Yeah.
Oh shit, they're fucking amazing.
That's where it's a weird one for them. A lot of their biggest songs that we've kind of only discovered or have only gone sort of viral and become popular this year came out in like 2015.
Yeah, it's mad. Surpassed 1 million monthly listeners on Spotify, played some massive shows, festival spots. Like, I think it's a good chance at the end of the year to sort of give them their flowers, because they've been putting the work in for years, and Weird that it's all sort of seemed to have like now kind of all cashed in at once, but happy for them. Love it. And I think it's going to set them up for a massive year next year. Seemingly an album headline US tour has been announced, and already a lot of the dates are selling out. I think they'll do either a big summer in like European festivals or a headlining tour. So yeah, at number 2, I've got Trophy Eyes. I mean, they had an album of the year contender for me. They had a song of the year contender, and I think in the scheme of the fact that they were on the brink of like collapse as a band, to then sort of almost go in the as far the other way as possible, to have like I think one of the best years that they've ever had, and sort of ignited their love for the band. I think sort of been matched by the fans. Like people have sort of fallen back in love with them more than they ever did. But artist of the year, 2023. Like we're gonna look back on this, it's gonna be just synonymous with Sleep Token, and it was year to year. Like January was when it all kicked off with the 2 songs. Headlined in April at Takedown, album in May, conquered the US over the summer, headlined Wembley in December. Like
Bish bash bosh.
calendar year couldn't have been better for them. Like just flawless.
My turn.
Dan's turn.
My number 5. I'm giving it to Harriet, because they've not released much music this year, just a couple of singles, but they've been excellent singles. But even despite that, they've played shows bloody everywhere, gaining fans left, right, and centre, gaining just immense popularity, gaining momentum and traction. I think everyone's in agreement that they're on the way up. They're going to have a massive year next year. They've already had a huge year this year, and to top it all off, not just Main Stage 2000 Trees, they've been on the Ragamuffin podcast. They've chatted to us, so like
Some say that was their peak.
Made it.
it could have been, yeah. Next up, Skindred,
Yeah,
Oh,
a
yeah.
band that have been
very good.
like working and working and working, and then
25 years.
again, thanks to TikTok, they seem to just blown up this year. A number 2, charting a number 2 with their recent album this year. They've got a Wembley show coming up early next year, I think, which again just shows how far they've come this year. Playing shows everywhere. We've seen them a couple of times, and they were as fun as they've always been.
Always.
And they just seem to be enjoying the moment, really. They're still as down to earth as ever, just sort of having fun. They were on BBC Breakfast. Skindred have been on the telly. Benji Webb has been on BBC Breakfast, and never mind the Buzzcocks.
What a year.
Crazy that. Mental.
What a year.
And then into the top 3. I nearly had these Skindred and this one the other way round, but this one just pipped it. Enter Shikari. They've kind of had a similar year to Skindred, another band that have been working so hard for so long, finally getting their first ever number 1 UK album, playing a massive show at Slam Dunk, headlining that, shows all over Europe, shows in the US. They've just been working really, really hard this year, and have had an amazing year. Number 2, Graphic Nature, for just the reasons that Alex has already mentioned, really. Again, just a band that have genuine talent, genuine heart. Started the year with an amazing album, and have just been relentlessly playing shows. And every show we've been to, like Alex mentioned, not just the crowd getting bigger, but the crowd getting rowdier as well, which, if anything, is the bigger kind of show of support and show of how popular they're getting and how people are kind of appreciating that band. And number 1 is Sleep Token. Enough said. I think it's their rise to popularity has been completely unprecedented. I don't think we've seen anything on this kind of scale and at that kind of speed in the modern day. I think there's not really anything you can compare it to, is there?
You said it best earlier. It's like generational talent and stardom, like before our eyes, just happening. Like,
It's not quite like Beatlemania,
no,
but on a smaller scale, as in like within one scene,
Yeah.
it feels a bit like that.
I feel like we're living in, like, for me, my comparisons, I feel like we're living in like 1999 Slipknot time.
Yeah.
Because also it's
Like
not
in
even
America, that blew up over there more than it did over here. But like their way, it's just like
Sleep Token are already global. That's
I know
that's the scary
that's the
thing.
Like in a year, what can change like that
scary,
very quick.
but also like exciting because that could happen to Graphic Nature. That could happen to Harriet. That could
Yeah.
happen to any of these bands that are making great music. And that's why I was just thinking this as we sort of recapping a lot of this. A lot of this has come down to TikTok.
Yeah.
Social
Kubla
media,
Khan, Skin Dread,
not loose.
Not Loose, Sleep Token, all having, you know, either resurgences or massive waves of momentum coming at them because it catches on TikTok. That's crazy.
And
Ultimately,
if you're on TikTok, follow our account.
There we
Artist
have
of
it.
the year from us, the Ragamuffins, unanimously, Sleep Token, and that's 2023.
That's 2023.
Sleep Token is 2023.
Brilliant. I mean, this has been a big
I
year.
was trying to think of something to say, but yeah.
So let's recap our 2023 awards. Album of the Year, Sleep Token, Take Me Back to Eden.
EP of the year, Not Loose, the Upon Lost singles.
Music video of the year was Not Loose, the Upon Lost singles.
Festival of the Year, 2000 Trees.
Gig of the year, While She Sleeps with Bury Tomorrow and Polaris.
Live performance of the year, Bring Me the Horizon at Download Festival.
Song of the Year, Blue Eyed Boy by Trophy Eyes.
And Artist of the year,
Sleep
Token.
Token.
Woo! Woo! Yippee!
I think from all of that, 2023 in alternative, heavy music, pop punk, all of that kind of stuff we love has been absolutely fucking phenomenal.
A feast for the
It's
ears.
been thriving. And for us, it's been quite momentous. We've hit our 1,000 subs this year. Thank you very much to all of you.
How do we make this
They
about
said we
us?
couldn't do it, but we did.
Don't know who said we couldn't, but
Mum and Dad.
just as a thank you to all of you for subscribing, for watching, for any of you that have interacted with us in person when we've seen you at gigs, festivals. It's always lovely to chat music with everyone else. And that's why we now have the Ragamuffin Club. Join via the link in the description. You can come onto our Facebook community, come join in the conversation. Let's discuss this more, talk about all the music we love. More than we do on a monthly podcast.
Let us know in the comments who you'd pick to win all of the award categories that we've discussed today. And then come and join the Facebook group and discuss it even further.
Thank you for everything. 2024 is going to be fucking sick as well. You can look forward to that straight away with the first podcast we'll have at the end of January, where we're going to look ahead to 2024. Look ahead and what we're going to predict. We're going to talk about festivals, bands that could be releasing music, and just kind of a bit of a forecast into the year ahead. Hope you've had a great Christmas and a happy new year, depending on when this is coming out. Depends on how quick Alex is at editing. We'll find out. But thank you very much from all of us, and we shall see you in 2024.
2023 belongs to Sleep Token. And it also belongs to you.